I wanted to let you know that I am wearing my Bluetooth because I'm using it as my mic, because I'm recording and I'll be sharing this on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. So, so welcome everyone. I am Rick, the stuttering designer. More on that in a few minutes. Tonight, I'm going to be speaking to you about stuttering awareness. You know, this presentation can be done within minutes in my head. Unfortunately, you'll be hearing the extended version because I stutter. Let's start with a show of hands. Besides me, how many know a person who stutters or have ever interacted with one? Wow. My goal is to provide you with a little insight into what many stuttering people struggle with every day. Having a stutter in school was hard at times. I knew what I wanted to say, but could not get the words out. It made me a shy kid. I wouldn't let many kids get close for the fear of them laughing and teasing me. Throughout school, I would encounter new kids. I really didn't want to show them my stutter. One day in elementary school, a substitute teacher was calling on different students to read aloud. She had something to do in between students reading this one time, so I started to read quietly to myself. She must have noticed me. Yeah, who do you think she called on next? Me. Yep, it was a train wreck. You see, some people who stutter can read to themselves, and the stuttering might not be noticed as much. But if that same person reads the same thing out loud, the stuttering is more noticeable. I have some great high school memories. Ones like being encouraged to join the speech team, where I started in storytelling but ended in dramatic interpretation, or having to compete against a fellow team member, receiving my first award at the last competition of my senior year. At times I would think, what kid with a stutter would be on a speech team? Looking back throughout school, I still struggled every day with my stutter. The nervousness, stress, and stutter never went away. I was involved doing the speech therapy, but never really felt it had helped my stutter to go away. For many years, I tried to hide my stutter, and tend to still do it at times, for the fear of people laughing and teasing me. That feeling of being ashamed, asking that famous old question, why me? The singer-songwriter Jason Gray describes his speech handicap as being self-shaming. Sometimes I think to myself, what if I never had this stutter? What kind of person would I be? Would I be as patient or understanding? Could I do so much more in my life? I turn that same question to you. What kind of person would you be if you weren't struggling with that one thing in your life? Here are 5 real-life struggles. Number 1, the old dreaded drive-through speaker. Picture this. Driving up to the speaker and saying your order fluently, and after a few seconds you hear, can you repeat that please? I'm like, what? So now I'm even more nervous and attempting to re-say the order, and it's a train wreck with stuttering all over the place. Now, my wife, who is sitting in the passenger seat, has to lean over and yell into the speaker. I'm sure the people behind us are laughing. Food and a show, man! I've heard other stutters. The non-stuttering person will sit in the back seat behind the driver and order from there. Number two, talking with people I know on the phone can be easier, but some avoid the phone altogether. All their communication is done through texting and not phone calls. My mom has mentioned, isn't it easier to talk to someone on the phone than face to face? You don't have to see them. My reply would be, no, it's a lot more stressful. I stutter even more. Number three, talking with people I know face to face can be easier. Over the years, I've picked up some tricks or habits. For instance, while talking to someone, I might substitute words to similar words that I can say. The person has no idea. Some people who stutter feel that it was a stutter because they couldn't say the original word. Number four, when inside a store looking for something, I would rather spend 10, 20 plus minutes looking for the item myself than asking where the item is. Number five, when at a restaurant and your food you ordered isn't exactly right. Maybe you ordered corn and you got peas. I wouldn't say anything. Or if something else is needed at the table, I'm not one to flag somebody down and ask for more. I want to share with you a night that changed my thinking. While attending a Bible study in 2006 or so, I heard something that changed my thinking of one person forever. How this one person has done many amazing things. One that I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with. The parting of the Red Sea. That's right, I'm referring to Moses. For me, one important fact was rarely mentioned, or it didn't click until that night. The fact that Moses was also a person who stuttered. In Exodus 6:12, in the Message version, Moses says, God, look, the Israelites won't even listen to me. How do you expect Pharaoh to? And besides, I stutter. When I heard that, I was like, wow, you mean Moses stuttered? I also learned that Moses had a brother named Aaron. In Exodus 4:14 through 16, also in the Message version, it says, God got angry with Moses. Don't you have a brother? Aaron, the Levite. He's good with words. I know he is. He speaks very well. In fact, at this very moment, he's on his way to meet you. When he sees you, he's going to be glad. You'll speak to him and tell him what to say. I'll be right there with you as you speak and with him as he speaks. He will act as your mouth, but you'll decide what comes out of it. As you see, Moses stuttered, but his brother did not. For instance, my son stutters, but his sister does not. Besides Moses, we know there are many other people who stutter, people from all walks of life, and you don't always know or recognize them for their stutter at first. Fast forward to 2018. I put my stutter with my passion of design and came up with #StutteringDesigner. That's when I decided to try and create some videos. Something that I was excited on one hand and fearful on the other. I had attempted several videos but never really satisfied with them. One night, I decided to create a video of me making dinner for the family. I was making stir fry using a coleslaw kit, chopped onions, ground turkey, and a sauce. Side note, it turned out awesome. This video felt different than the previous ones. Maybe because I was moving around, more focused on what I was cooking than what I was saying and how. Here are 3 reasons for my why for sharing videos on social media. Number one, as a marketing strategy to promote my new hashtag stuttering designer. Also to attract potential clients and showcase clients' projects, provide graphic tips, and discuss graphic topics. Number two, a form of personal speech therapy. Recently, I started a journey that takes me from being behind the scenes to in front. It's a place where I'm out of my comfort zone, but trying to stretch it further and make it even stronger. Most of all, not to let my stutter define who I am. Just like Moses, he didn't let his stutter define him. Yes, he had a stutter, but most people remember him for those amazing things, not his stutter. Number three, my goal is to speak at events about stuttering awareness, talking with others who might not know much about it. Also, to provide them with a little insight into what many stuttering people might have to struggle with every day. This journey has developed into something that I would have never imagined. While sharing videos on social media, I received some great feedback. But one thing was coming up. It's like, you say you're Rick, the stuttering designer, but when I watch your videos at times, I really can't tell you're stuttering. I'll try to explain maybe why. I've came across fellow stutters who talk about their childhood struggles with stuttering. Some you can tell, but others are so fluent now, you would think they never did. And I'm sure it took a lot of hard work. When I create my videos, I want them professional, as much as I can, by being as fluent as I can. Problem is, I'm coming off as if I do not stutter, but I really do. Being a perfectionist is something common among stuttering people. It reminds me, when I first started creating videos, I did one that had 30 plus takes, trying to control something that I had no control over and wanting everything else to be perfect as well. It's a frustrating feeling. While searching for a support group, I found the NSA website, National Stuttering Association. There, I found information like what is stuttering, what causes stuttering, and can stuttering be cured? The website describes them this way. What is stuttering? Stuttering is a communication disorder involving disruptions or disfluencies in a person's speech. In addition to producing disfluencies, people who stutter often experience physical tension and struggle in their speech muscles, as well as embarrassment, anxiety, and fear about speaking. Together, these symptoms can make it very difficult for people who stutter to speak, and this makes it difficult for them to communicate effectively with others. What causes stuttering? The precise causes of stuttering are still unknown, but most researchers now consider stuttering to be a neurological condition that interferes with the production of speech. In some people, the tendency to stutter may be inherited, although the interference with speech is sometimes triggered by emotional or situational factors. Stuttering is basically a neurological and physiological, not psychological. Let me repeat that. Stuttering is basically a neurological and physiological, not a psychological in nature. In all other respects, people who stutter are perfectly normal. Can stuttering be cured? Despite scientific breakthroughs in our knowledge about stuttering, there is still no reliable, research-backed cure that works consistently over time and for all people who stutter. Many individuals benefit from various forms of speech therapy and from support groups like the National Stuttering Association. However, it is unrealistic to expect that any treatment will make stuttering completely disappear. Despite common myths, there is no therapy, device, or drug that is effective all the time or for all the people who stutter. Methods that appear to benefit some individuals may not work for others, and relapses are common. Controlling stuttering is a long-term project that begins with acceptance of one's stuttering and requires considerable amount of patience and understanding. What help is available? If you would like more information on stuttering, check out these websites for resources. National Stuttering Association, westutter.org. The Stuttering Foundation, stutteringhelp.org. American Institute for Stuttering, stutteringtreatment.org. Also, check with your child's school for other resources that might also be available. For this next part, I will need 5 volunteers, 4 males and 1 female, to come up to the front, please.
Keep going, guys. Are you the fourth
To
man?
be honest, I've never done this before live or in action. It's only been done in my head, so I'm still trying to picture it all. But okay, I need a female to possibly play a female and another male.
How?
It's more of a visual thing than anything else. And all you have to do is just say one thing
In
that
your
is
deepest voice.
unique to you yourself. Would
Want
you
me to play
mind
the guy?
filling in?
You're the actress in the group.
Yeah.
This is only for demonstration purposes only. Okay. All right. So, can you stand here? Okay. So here we go.
Should have got you a fake mustache.
What is your first name?
Jenny.
Okay. What is your first name?
Lee.
What is your first name?
Larry.
What is your first name?
Mark.
We'll make you Ed.
Ed.
Okay. So, male Ed is a person who stutters. So now, audience, if you did not know Ed was a person who stuttered,
And a male.
between these volunteers, could you pick out the person who stutters? No, right?
No.
What we just learned is that people who stutter look like everyone else, but it's not until they start talking you find out, right? Okay, so now, can I have Jenny take 3 or 4 steps to your left? Okay. Okay. The Stuttering Foundation website states that males are 4 times more likely to stutter than females are. What we also learned here is the ratio is 4 to 1. So, let's thank our volunteers.
Oh. That was easy.
You did not even stutter.
Yeah.
Your voice isn't low enough.
You never know.
Yeah.
The Stuttering Foundation website also states that more than 70 million people worldwide stutter, which is about 1% of the population. In the United States, that's over 3 million Americans who stutter. This 1%, I would refer to it as being a unique membership club. Yeah, a club that so many people who stutter want no part of and wish they never were. Where some members may be temporary and others have a lifelong membership. Even if you are a temporary member, you will always be considered a member because in the past you were a person who stuttered. What you might not understand, stuttering does not play favorites at all. It affects so many people from boys to girls. At times, it starts from a young age and might go away as they get older, but others have to deal with it for the rest of their life. Stutters range from mild to severe. Some might exhibit head or body movements, word blocks, or repeat certain characters, be able to sing, talk with an accent or funny voice, and be fluent, struggle with fear, stress, anxiety, etc. Also, stuttering cannot be turned off and on. Not all people who stutter the same way. I can't emphasize enough the importance of support groups where you find you're not alone. In mid 2018, I did something I've never done before, find a support group. At this point, I've never came across anyone else who stuttered except for school. It wasn't until later that year, while I was trying to stretch my comfort zone, and I decided to place a food order inside for my family and me. I placed the order and thought, I did a pretty good job, only stumbling here and there on my words. He asked me if I stuttered, and I said yes. He mentioned he did as well. It was one of those wow moments. What I learned from these support groups, you shouldn't tell a person who stutters to slow down or just breathe. My wife and I have told those same things to our son. I also learned what are some pet peeves. Ones like not to finish their sentences for them, start talking again before they can finish, mention their stutter is cute, try to mock or act like a person who stutters, make a comment on what they're trying to say. Shortly after high school, I was in a store paying for some purchases. The cashier was talking. I was nodding and saying, yep. Then he asked me what high school I went to. I started to say the name, but always struggled with it. He noticed I was struggling, and before I could even tell him, he said something like, did you forget the name? Did you not like your high school? I just tried to laugh it off, grabbed my things, walked away, and said to myself, what a jerk. Other stutters have had similar situations when saying their own name. Comments like, did you forget your name? Do you not like your name? Etc. In some cases, people have even gone as far as to change their name legally to one they could say without stuttering. Since joining a few social media support groups, I've taken part in a few things in 2019. For instance, in May, I took part in promoting Stuttering Awareness Week with fellow stutters from around the world. In July, I took part in a week-long live online event entitled Learn One Thing, hosted by Free from Stutter. This event included a 10-panel group of people who stuttered, speech pathologists, and speech coaches from around the world. Also in July, my words were spoken on the radio about stuttering awareness. In August, I took part in a 7-day encouraging phrase challenge hosted by Free from Stutter, where each day you share a quote, phrase to inspire someone in the stuttering community. Videos have been shared on these topics on social media over and over. In September, I have started the process of taking stuttering awareness out on the road, speaking at events where you normally do not hear about it, just like this one. In closing, in our everyday busy lives, let's try to remember those people that might not be accepted or laughed at because they have a stutter, or people don't know what to say or how to react. Let's educate. People who stutter also have a voice and a right to be heard, just like anyone else does. You know, as a person who stutters, we have such a unique opportunity to teach others patience, Before I end, I would like to leave you with this. Tim Tebow is such a great motivator. I've heard him mention a phrase, not to let it define you. So today, whatever you're struggling with, do not let your struggle, that one thing, define who you are. How are you going to show people you're Moses? What amazing things do you want people to remember you by? In conclusion, I thought I left my presentation days in high school. So I thought. Thank you for your time.